Now, we're going to get kicked off with the CPTPP. This is the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, because by putting CP on the front, everybody that objected to the Trans-Pacific Partnership several years ago when it was hitting all the headlines will have completely forgotten what it represents. So to kick off here, I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I just want to give you an impression of the government's excitement about what's been done here.
We've just agreed one of the biggest trade deals of all time.
After months of negotiations, the UK is about to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership.
The CPTPP is a trade agreement between 11 dynamic countries like Australia,
Canada,
Japan,
Malaysia, and Mexico.
It will help us unlock the benefits of Brexit
for people across the UK.
And it will give us access to tariff-free trade with some of the world's fastest growing economies.
But what does that actually mean?
So if that hasn't been enough to make everybody physically ill before their lunch, let's just have a look at, well, let's bring them on screen. Here they are. There's Kemi Badenoch and all the rest at the signing ceremony. But let's have a look at what impact this is going to have on the UK's economy. Let's bring it on screen because it is significant. It is going to be £1.8 billion over the next 15 years is what most people think. That's going to add, David, 0.08% to GDP. That is massively impressive.
Not. I mean, if it's really as trivial as that, it's hardly worth the video.
Well, this is a very good point. So let's, if it's not about trade then, because, I mean, clearly it isn't, what is it about? Well, one thing that it certainly seems to be about is data. So I'm just going to bring people back to 2020 and the UK's policy paper on the National Data Strategy. Well, there is the digital minister at the time talking about this. Liz Truss also had comments to make about it in 2020 when she was Foreign Secretary. So let's remind ourselves what she said. Membership of CPTPP would hitch the UK to the fast-growing Pacific region. It also helps us strengthen our ties with some of our key international allies like Canada, Singapore, and Australia. This to me is about strengthening the group of countries that believe in free trade, but also believe in the rules-based global system, because free trade and rules-based global system, these are the same in the minds of some people anyway. This enables us to sign up to advanced digital provisions, in effect become part of a digital free trade area, and I think that's incredibly important for the UK. I believe that by becoming part of CPTPP and by signing up to these advanced agreements in areas like services and digital, we will help push the World Trade Organization to adapt new rules and modernize its rulebook, particularly in these types of areas. So this has been a major focus for this Tory government for many, many years. Obviously, Liz Truss, when she made that statement, was Foreign Secretary. But this is something that's been running through Tory government for the last number of years. Now, I just want to bring this on screen. This is the UK Trade Policy Observatory. And they were in 2021 in July assessing CPTPP without a national digital regulatory strategy. Accessing that without that, and they're suggesting that creates challenges. But their key point here is that the UK government is in effect using free trade agreements as a major policy tool to attain its ambition to become what they describe as a champion of the international flow of data. Doing so without a clear domestic trade policy is unwise, says the UK Trade Policy Observatory. But of course, when did the Tory party, or any in fact party in the UK government, ever worry about wisdom? So, David, this is clearly a very big part of it. It is a big part of the deal that's been done, and it's a big part of the agreement that's been signed. And if we look at what the UK government's doing with data protection and data transfers, this is a key focus of it, particularly around digital identity. Of course, it's necessary for international data flows if we're going to talk about central bank digital currencies. It feeds into a whole range of policy areas, and it's clearly right at front and center in this agreement.
Yes, and it's very strange that that's the line they've chosen to define it and to encourage us to support this. You would have thought that restoring links to Australia and New Zealand the links, the trading links that were severed by the European Union membership and the European Union trade tariff walls that kept out all of the products we used to import from the former dominions, would have been celebrated as, and this agreement would have been celebrated as part of relinking Britain to its former role in the world. Now we're free from the shackles of the EU, but they didn't choose to put it in those terms. They've chosen to put it very much in globalist terms, not in British terms. Very strange.
Well, to be fair, they have touched on this in their comments, but of course, the trouble is, David, how do you make a big deal of that, about trading with physical goods with the far side of the world, when you're at the same time you're saying net zero, we've got to stop this kind of thing?
Well, the net zero stops many types of things. It's currently threatening the steel industry in Wales, and it's threatening the car industry all across Europe, and it threatens many parts of our environment in the UK. So this is a fundamental error that permeates government: the inability to tell the truth about the climate, the willingness to buy into the climate hysteria, and to allow it to drive policy. As long as they're doing that, ideas such as sovereignty are purely theoretical.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, we'll touch on this some more in extra, but in the